Welcome everyone to the June Community Information Meeting for the Town of Paradise. Before we get started, a couple quick little housekeeping items. For those of you that are in-house, thank you for being here tonight. We do have comment cards. If you have any questions, we'd ask you to fill those out for us, and we will ask those questions at the end. For those of you online, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments section, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. We'll be sure to get to those as well. Regarding audio, for those of you that are struggling with audio on Facebook, please check the Town of Paradise page. We have posted some troubleshooting tips. If you are continuing to struggle, we suggest that you move over to the YouTube channel. So that's it. So let's get started. I'd like to kick it off with the Mayor of the Town of Paradise, Mayor Steve Crowder.
Thank you, Val. So, good evening. Thank you all for joining us. I will keep this brief, even though that's very difficult for me to do. I want you to hear from our experts. We know that rebuilding in Paradise has its challenges, and we want to thank every one of our community members for enduring these challenges and your patience with us. Please know we appreciate every one of you. We're here tonight to talk about fire safety and why we must have defensible space, whether it be on a vacant lot or a lot with a structure for our own safety or the safety of our neighbors. There's so much going on by town staff behind the scenes to make us fire safe, to make us a fire safe model, such as looking to expand evacuation routes, undergrounding of all utilities town-wide, weed control, and structure hardening, just to mention a few. We've been working with the Insurance Commissioner's Office to help bring back affordable insurance, which goes hand in hand with why we have to be fire safe. Please listen to our presentation, then feel free to ask questions or give input. Please remember, this is your town, and we do want to hear from you. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our Fire Chief, Garrett Solon.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Garrett Schollen here, Assistant Chief, North Operations here in Butte County, which includes Fire Chief for the Town of Paradise. We're here to discuss how to prepare for fire season, and in particular, some of the things that you can do out there at your home and in your communities to protect yourselves and your neighbors. And we really want to stress the fact that we're all in this together. The fire services across the state of California have been dealing with these larger fires over the past 10+ years, and they have beefed up their staffing levels. CAL FIRE has beefed up their aircraft levels. So we're asking folks to really hone in on their defensible space, take it to heart, and this is something that if you're living in California, especially in the Sierra Nevada foothills, as we are here in Paradise, that it's imperative that this is a year-round process that you need to endure on your property. So to start off with, I'd like to go over Ready, Set, Go. And we here at the town have produced some magnets that can go on your refrigerator that can help identify the zone that you're in. And there's just a blank spot at the end of I live in zone, and you fill that in. So you'll always know as you walk by your refrigerator what zone you're in to help you with that process. So ready, set, go. And here's the first video, and we'll discuss afterwards.
We had yesterday of 113 degrees during the day, then very dry conditions.
Devastating wildfires have become the new normal in California. It is your responsibility to prepare your family, pets, home, and yourself. Preparedness starts with 3 steps. Ready, set, go. Step 1, ready. Ready is proactive planning. Ready focuses on 2 areas, your home and your family. This begins with creating a defensible home. Start by creating an action plan to build defensible space. Remove weeds, brush, and other vegetation to create a buffer between flames, embers, and your home. Harden your home. Roofs, eaves, vents, and decks are areas you can safeguard against fire. Evaluate weak points and harden them. Ready is preparing your family. Start with creating a family disaster plan to leave, meet, retreat. Include pets and large animals such as horses in your plan. Being ready saves lives and property. Being ready increases the likelihood both you and your home survive. It's time to get ready.
We're ready. Are you ready?
For additional actions and information on what to do when wildfire strikes, head to readyforwildfire.org.
Okay, and to recap on the ready part of this is removing your weeds and brush and other vegetation, as we'll discuss in a few moments about defensible space requirements here in the town of Paradise, hardening your homes, evaluating any weak points and hardening them throughout your homes, and plant fire-resistant shrubs and remove scotch broom, very important whenever possible. And we also want to stress that while you're doing these things, do your fuel reduction before 10 a.m. in the morning during these hot summer months if you can. So defensible space requirements. We've produced a pamphlet that's available here tonight and as well as online at Town of Paradise, both front and back. On the front is just some general information on the municipal code requirement number, and then on the back there's a checklist to help you kind of look around your property and identify if any of those items on there that need to be completed in order to be compliant with the municipal code and defensible space requirements. The next is set.
Devastating wildfires have become the new normal in California. Preparedness starts with 3 steps: ready, set, go. Once your home and family are ready, the next step is set. Set is to properly prepare. Follow these guidelines to create an emergency supply kit, wildfire action plan, and evacuation plan. Begin by assembling an emergency supply kit. For a list of items to include in your kit, go to readyforwildfire.org. Create a wildfire action plan, a simple checklist to ensure your family, pets, and those needing assistance get out quickly and safely. Create an evacuation plan for pets and large animals. Keep crates and supplies within easy reach and assign the collection of a pet to each family member to move quickly. Designate and repeatedly practice various escape routes from your home and community. Set a safe meetup location outside the fire zone in case of separation during an emergency. Choose an out-of-town family member or friend to act as a single point of contact. Once your evacuation plan is complete, ensure fire extinguishers are working and stored safely. Show family members the location of gas, electric, and water main shutoffs. Being set increases the likelihood both you and your home survive. For more information on emergency supplies and a downloadable checklist, head to readyforwildfire.org. It's time to get set.
We're ready.
Okay, so the set portion, to recap, is really about planning and practicing in the event that you are faced with an evacuation. And it's really not a matter of if or when, but if you live in California, you will be faced with wildland fire at some point in your communities. So please take the time to discuss with your loved ones, create a plan, practice it, have an assembled emergency kit that's available either at your home or in your vehicle that you can take with you, and have a plan for your pets. And there, again, on the website for the town, as well as Butte County, there are locations that are identified where you can take pets during an emergency, and they will be able to help you with that. Next slide here is our evacuation maps that were updated this last year and mailed out to the addresses on the parcels. You can identify the new one by the blue outline on the outside of the evacuation map. The previous year, 2017, had a green outline, so this one now has a blue. So that means you're up to date. If you flip it over on the back, it has the Upper Ridge, and you can see we've named the Upper Ridge, and there's been some expansions of some of those areas in there as well. Those are available along with all these other items I'm showing tonight here at Town Hall, as well as the fire station and at the Brick. And now for go.
Go. Go is the proper action to take when wildfire strikes. You do not have to wait for authorities to advise you to leave. If you feel unsafe, evacuate immediately. It's time to go immediately upon the request of emergency officials. Step 1. If time allows, review your evacuation checklist. Step 2. Load your emergency supply kit into your vehicle. Step 3. Locate pets and large livestock. Load safely and securely. Step 4. Dress to reduce the impact of high temperatures, extreme weather, or falling ash. Choose natural fibers if possible. As you head down the road, be aware of your surroundings and always obey the direction of law enforcement. Follow the plan, and it will increase the likelihood both you and those you care about survive. It's time to go.
We're ready.
Go.
Okay, so for go, you've done your checklist, you've had a plan for your livestock, and you're aware of potential to need to evacuate. And we'll go to the next slide here. And I want to really stress when it's time to go, it's time to go. And here in Butte County and across most of the state of California, we really have two phases. We have warnings and orders for evacuations. Warnings, as you've seen here this last summer, we are sending those out much earlier in advance than we ever have, and that is really the time for you to prepare and know where you're going to take your pets, where you're going to go, and have those conversations. When it's time to go, when an order comes out, that's what we're looking for people to pack up and leave without delay. Anytime there's delay, you put yourself and your family at risk, as well as others, potentially if you stay behind. And there's a number of ways that information goes out through the Code Red process, through social media, as well as the high-low sirens that law enforcement agencies are using. And there are other things coming into development for folks that may not have access to social media or the internet here in the near future. Next item I'd like to discuss, and I'd also like to bring up Chris Rainey and introduce him. If you've never met him, he may have come by your house. He's the fire inspector here for the town of Paradise, doing an outstanding job. So I wanted an opportunity to put a name with a face, and then he's also here to answer questions at the end of the presentation. So I just want to touch on a few of the requirements of the town of Paradise's defensible space, and I'm really paraphrasing these. And if there's particular questions on ones, we'll be able to answer them tonight. We want you to maintain immediately and around adjacent to your buildings free of combustible materials. And that's specifically in that 5-foot ring around right next to your house. We want you to remove and prune up flammable plants and shrubs near any windows or under eaves that are non-flammable, and clean your roofs, gutters, and dead leaves of debris and pine needles here on the ridge. Also maintain an area adjacent to any structure with a 100-foot fire break made by removing and clearing away flammable vegetation or other combustible growth from the structure on each side thereof to the property line, whichever is closer. Any tree that extends within 10 feet of an outlet of chimney or stovepipe should be trimmed up. Clear flammable vegetation on each side of a street or driveway for a horizontal distance of 10 feet and a vertical height of 14 feet. And then no property owner shall permit on improved or unimproved parcel any accumulation of combustible materials, dead or dying or diseased trees, or green waste within 30 feet of the property line when such accumulation endangers or encroaches on the required defensible space for structures or buildings on the adjacent properties. So you're helping out, taking care of your neighbors. And improved parcels of 1.5 acres or less in size shall be required to provide fuel modification to that entire parcel. In the event that there is a need for additional fuels management or an adjustment to that, I'll work with Chris Rainey on approving those or asking that they be adjusted in order to meet fire safety for the piece of parcel and the buildings that are on it. Next is, as of last week on May 27th, Chris Rainey here has inspected a total of 6,244 parcels throughout the town. We've got a little over 3,600 that are non-compliance and a little over 2,500 that are compliant. So it's time to get those numbers narrowed down a little bit and more on the compliance side is what we're hoping. As of today, all burning in Butte County, including the town of Paradise, is suspended. We will not revisit that until we've had some significant wet patterns and weather patterns come, which is usually in late November. Here is an email address and phone number to report a violation or ask a question about compliance. And finally, a list of resources as described can be found both here at Town Hall, on the townofparadise.com website, as well as the Fire Station 81 or 82 have these resources available for you to pick up. Okay, that is the end of our presentations. If there's any questions from the audience or online.
We do. We have a couple questions. The first is, when will abatement begin for properties that are still out of compliance?
We are in the process right now of moving through inspecting all of the properties here in the town. So as we move through that and resources are available to come back to enforce those, we will start sending out citations and working with code enforcement on that. Bottom line.
The next question is, who should I contact regarding a neighbor that will not clean their property?
Hello, again, I'm Chris Rainey, Fire Inspector for the Town of Paradise. The best way to contact us, we are very busy on the phones, as you can imagine, so defensible space at townofparadise.com is a real good way to get a hold of us if you have a property that you want us to come out and take a look at. Again, like the chief said, we're checking every property, so we're gonna get to that property. Obviously, if high concern for you, let us know.
That's it. Those are the only questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening.